Get that. And all right, cool. We're live. So, uh, do you debate people outside of like Discord at all? Like outside of like text Discord, do you like get heated in VCs at all?
Yeah, I'm in Wix VC a lot, and people come in there. I argue with a lot of people. I've been arguing with people for years now.
I feel that.
I argue with a lot of people. I've been arguing.
Uh, what happened? Okay. Uh, did you cut off in the middle of the word arguing?
I don't think I did.
Okay, then maybe it was just okay. As I can hear you, so we're good. Um, okay, cool. I don't think we need any rules or anything. We've met. We did the panel, and also thanks again for doing the panel.
No problem.
So I figured since you're my guest, I should let you give your position on this first, and then I'll give mine, and then we can just kind of have at it.
All right. So I don't generally think that people should use insults that attack somebody's intelligence directly, because I don't think we would actually use any of those words if we were talking about somebody who actually legitimately had like a mental disability. And so I don't think that's actually what we want to attack. What we want to attack is the way they are engaging with different like scientific literature or the media, their critical thinking skills and their thought processes. That's the type of stuff we actually want to attack. So we're being inaccurate when we use words like stupid, idiot, or retard.
I will confess, I have a big pet peeve that people don't use stupid right. Stupid means you know what is correct and it's not impacting your judgment. I do use that correctly because I think it's important that we have a word for that. Um,
I've never heard that definition before.
um, you know what? I haven't looked it up. That has always been my understanding. Nobody's ever said anything back to me about that. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I use it at least.
Well,
Like you know what's right, and like if you have you ever watched somebody fail at the same thing the same way several times, and you're just like, "The fuck are you doing? You're stupid."
yes.
You know that won't work, and you're still trying to make it work. Like, stop it. You're being fucking stupid. That's stupid to me.
Yeah, but I'm
Um,
I'm pretty sure that stupid has been in basically the same like you know what a euphemism treadmill is?
uh, I think I can understand what it means, but by all means, go ahead.
Yeah, well, essentially, like a euphemism treadmill is where we'll have a word that describes a thing, and that's completely fine. And then it's something that's seen as like an overall negative. So people start using that against each other, and then they have to make a new word, and then it just goes on and on that way. And I think that stupid was part of the same euphemism treadmill that like idiot and retard is part of.
uh, that makes sense. Um, and so basically, your argument is that you don't like it because it's inaccurate.
I don't like it because it's inaccurate, and I don't think we should generally attack people's level of intelligence.
Um, okay. So, my primary position is that I think that it's not a slur, which is what generally people argue against. Obviously, that's not what you had said, because I think that there's nothing inherently wrong with using it. I think that most people who use it find it to be a fun word to use, and while it may not be like dictionary definition accurate, everybody knows what I mean when I call somebody retarded. So it's very good at doing the job of words, which is like when I say it, everybody instantly knows what I mean, and like some people might like act like they're offended or whatever, or some people might get offended, but they still understand what I was trying to say. So I think that it's just and it usually gets the kind of reaction that you want. You usually use it when you want a powerful word um, that's gonna like be jarring, but not actually like offend somebody. Uh, and I think that it serves that purpose really well. Um, Do you think that my description of it is accurate? You can disagree with like me using it still. I'm not
Well,
trying to trap you into that.
I could agree with your general colloquial understanding of what the word is,
Mm.
but I do want to disagree. Earlier, you said it isn't a slur. So I would like to disagree with your definition of the word slur because the way that people use the word slur really irks me. Uh, Basically, for most people, it's defined as it's a insult, but like the really bad ones.
Uh, sure. I think that my understanding of what a slur is a slur is a word that if you use it on somebody, typically a slur is going to be something that targets a person uh, for something that they can't control, and it is designed to demean them for that quality. That is how I think most people, the reason why we bar slurs is because we think that that's wrong to do as a society. So we don't let people use them because we think that this specific thing, uh, that the slur functions, the specific part of the function of the slur does. And I don't think that retarded or retard meets that standard.
Well, the way I use slur and the way I define slur is I go by the actual definition, which is any insult used to demean or debase, and it's both a noun and a verb. So, for example, the word Jew isn't a slur unless I say unless I like point at somebody and angrily call them a Jew. Then the word Jew is suddenly a slur, and I am slurring at them.
Hmm. I guess by that metric, couldn't anything be a slur if it was said with enough like pointed hate?
Yeah, I think intent is very important when it comes to what a slur is.
I agree as well, but I think that the rules for society are not set up with that in mind. For instance, the N word with the soft A is almost always used in a positive manner, almost exclusively. Um, it's usually like a greeting. It's like a positive noun. What's the word? It's like an expression of camaraderie almost. Um, but if a white person says it, it could be seen as immediately something bad. So like I don't think like the like whatever I think that like words are pretty fluid, and I think the intent is really the thing that matters. Actually, but society would say like some words you just can't say because we've decided that they are bad no matter what, regardless of how they're actually used or the context in which they're put in.
I think specifically with the N word with a soft A, I would say that's less of just always a positive thing, and it rather occupies a type of grammatical tool called a discourse marker, which is basically a word that can fill in for like any type of emotion or intent. So like a person, I'm going to use the word dude here.
Yeah,
So
that'd
like
be a
I could
natural
say
filler.
yeah, I could say, "What's up, dude?" Or I could say, "Dude, what the fuck?" And those mean they're the same word, but they mean wildly different things
Yeah,
in the context of what they're in. So I don't think necessarily describing it as it's commonly a positive thing. I think you could say it's commonly a positive thing, but I wouldn't say it's majority positive.
sure. I would say it's very rarely derogatory.
Specifically to demean somebody for their race, I would agree.
Yeah. It seems like it's like it has like a wild amount of utility, and very little of that utility is ever applied to something negative, which I wouldn't say the same exactly for retarded, but it is a flexible word. You can use it to describe something that's like exceptionally silly, or something that's like super good. Like that was the best salad I ever had, dude. It's fucking retarded. And that makes everybody knows what that means. They don't think that the salad is like a mental impairment. And I really enjoy words that have that kind of flexibility because it adds a flair of silliness to your language that is just sort of hard to achieve without using a word that has some kind of bite to it. You get a little bit of a like even you like you laughed a little bit because it's fun to use words uh, where they will flow appropriately and convey the message, but also catch people off guard a little bit and get them to like perk up and pay attention to what you're saying. It adds a little extra like sauce to the thing. And I understand that if you're like overly pedantic about the way that you speak, um, this would probably be a little more. This would probably be something that's just like very like, I hate this, I don't like this. I'm a really big fan of words in the way that we use language. Like I've written my entire life, particularly like poetry and stuff. So I really like finding words that are super flexible and fit into things in ways that like just other words don't have the ability to do. Um, you could certainly, and I won't deny either that you can certainly use the word in a negative way, uh, but I don't support that. I think everybody on that panel basically agreed that you shouldn't use the word to hurt people.
I don't think everybody agreed on that. I think
Oh.
like if we're talking about hurting like people who like actually have mental disabilities, I think everybody agreed on that. But I don't think most of the people on the panel would have said we shouldn't use that word as an insult against somebody who is quote unquote acting that way.
Um, kind of. Maybe I misunderstood what other people are saying. So even when I use it as an insult, I'm not actually trying to like hurt somebody. I'm not insulting somebody. I guess the way that I'm using insult in this sense is when you insult your friends in a way to not actually hurt them. Uh, do you do this? Is there? I'm trying to think of a good way to describe this. There's like a there's like a bonding thing that happens among groups of friends where you kind of like haze each other in a light way, to
I
where
think
we
the
know that
term
you
is
don't mean it.
teasing.
Sure, there we
Teasing.
go. Yeah, I think I engage in a lot of teasing of people, and I think that's I built a lot of really good, healthy relationships out of that. I think it's a really effective tool of seeing if people are on the same page as you. Like at least for me, I'm a pretty silly person. I like to say things as they pop into my head, especially jokes. And if somebody can't handle like a little bit of light teasing, we're probably just like not going to get along. And I'm not saying that they're bad for that, but I think it's a really good method to determine like who am I actually going to click with? Who can I be around and get along with without having to alter a whole lot. Which isn't saying that I wouldn't hang out with people who are easily offended, but I will have to moderate my behavior a lot, and it's not going to be somebody that I would want around necessarily all the time.
Yeah,
Uh,
I would say if you're doing it like solely within like a group of friends or something, I probably wouldn't have an issue with it.
oh, okay. So then, if your argument is that you don't like so maybe you can restart your argument then, because I didn't think that you mentioned like the harm in the argument.
No, the main thing is like when I'm attacking somebody, I like to be accurate, and I've met a lot of people who will use the word retarded for pretty much anything they think is like beneath them, and just using that as like a derogatory term, it irks me because like you're not really saying anything with it. You're not actually getting the heart of like what they're actually doing. You're just throwing out a very broad general insult. And when I insult somebody or when I attempt to demean them, I really like to get at the heart of what they're saying and describe it accurately so everybody else can look at what I'm saying and say, "Oh yeah, that is absolutely true about this person."
So the example was like an example. Somebody be like, I don't do that shit. That shit's retarded.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that you don't like. Sure. Um, I don't think I necessarily have a problem with that. I think when people use it like that, it gives me a really good gauge of where they're at in terms of like their vocabulary and their ability to formulate an argument. So it kind of lets me know that I don't have to work that hard here, if that makes sense. At risk of making myself sound a little bit cocky, but I think that is a pretty good signal that says, this is going to be an easy conversation to navigate. I can probably just throw out a little rope and they'll hang themselves.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Although some of the people I have met that use that word a lot, like I can tell that they have the ability to construct well-made arguments and to have a greater understanding of what they're actually talking about. It just seems like they're taking a lot of shortcuts when they don't need to.
So you want people to not use the word to make them better speakers.
I would like when people communicate with each other that they communicate something a lot more real than just like the general argue base like insults to each other. I want them to say like, "This is exactly what you're doing. Here's where you did it. Look at that. If you can seriously tell me this doesn't accurately describe you, then you are completely and utterly not worth talking to anymore." That type of thing. I want to communicate that, and I want people to communicate that to me.
Sure. What if you knew that the person was fully capable of doing all these things, and they generally do, but they also use the word uh, within the confines of the utility which I described that it has? So like
Uh,
if I'm debating with you, I'm not gonna say that like your behavior is retarded or the thing that you're going for is retarded, but I might say at the end of it like well that was a lot of fun. I think I made a couple of retarded points there, but I think that overall we both had good points. Like, do you think that that would be fine if they were articulate and descriptive throughout the whole thing, and then said that afterwards? Would you be like, "Hey, you ruined it"?
no, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with that. No.
Okay, so it seems to me that you don't have anything against the word as much as you have a thing against lazy arguers in general.
It's more so like I don't think categorically people should be like attacking somebody's intelligence because I don't think in general people would attack somebody for actually having a lower intelligence. They would attack somebody who has that intelligence but isn't using it or putting in the work to use it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like the example that I gave in the panel a lot was if Tuna and I were playing Dark Souls and he keeps rolling off the edge of the map. Um, we'd be like, Tuna, quit being retarded. We need you. If you have to dodge a bunch, stay in the center of the map. You're killing me. Like literally, I keep dying over and over again because you're not there. Why are you doing this? I'm saying you're behaving as though you have something wrong with you, and you're not. So stop.
Well, I would say like in general, like basically what I'm describing is that I don't take like great offense to it, but I would say that that we should probably move away from that at some point. But like I don't think it's necessarily that big of a deal. It's probably fine for the time being.
I think I'll confess to you. Part of the reason why I hold on to it is because it's one of the few words that we have that I think is really fun. Um, because it has the feeling of being edgy, but I can say it with such a high degree of confidence that I'm not actually going to hurt anybody. Um, it really helps get that desire to like like be a little bit edgy around people that I like for that little bit of shock there, but I know that nobody around me is going to be like, "Oh, I can't believe you said it." It's a kind of it's a way to like put a little spark of like joy into the shit talking. And I think that we have very few words where I can say them publicly or in like a semi-public area setting where I can get that spark of joy from making an edgy comment without actually like risking hurting people uh, uh, that are like around me. I think it's really easy to tell when somebody's like primed to take offense to that. Uh, and I think that the level of understanding for this word is much greater than other words that have a similar kind of edge to it.
I would kind of I would sort of agree, but also I think you can still be edgy without certain words. Like, for example, like I would just ask somebody if they have neurosyphilis. I think that's pretty edgy.
what would be the big difference then between these two things? Between saying like, bro, are you retarded? Then why'd you do that? Or saying like, hey, do you have neurosyphilis? Uh,
I think the earlier stages just affect motor use.
even if you get it cured, the damage is permanent.
Yeah, probably.
I learned that from an episode of House.
Man, I watch so much House.
Do you?
It, yeah, oh yeah, fucking. I think I watched like the entire series once all the way through, and I watched half of it again, and then I watched like another third of it through fucking YouTube clips.
uh, definitely like top five best sitcoms in my opinion. When I was in college, this chick who I've never had somebody so instantly aggressively hit on me. I said something about liking House within like the second day of knowing her, and she said that I reminded her of him, and I was just like, all right, I want to like whatever you want to do. Let's do whatever you want. I like you so much now. Uh, um, you got me sidetracked on House. This is not fair. It's a really good show. Really good show. Um, oh, because I said I learned that on that. So yeah, I don't know if there's a to me, it seems like these are performing the exact same things, and so we should have the exact same problem with them.
Yeah, you may be right on this one. It's kind of hard for me to think about ways in which I would get across that idea because I think I've kind of eliminated mostly that particular category of things I say to people, and it's more related to God. It's hard to think about how I actually talk to people while I'm talking to somebody.
Sure. I might even argue too that if you get like if you say like do you have neurosyphilis? There's almost a sense of like degradation there and that you're like using like if you if you're trying to say something edgy to tell somebody that they're being dumb, and you're trying to do it in like a creative way, if you're gonna use like bigger words and if they're not that bright, they're gonna know what retarded means. But then you might actually risk making them actually feel dumb if you ask them if they have neurosyphilis because like I don't know what that means,
Hmm.
which again adds utility to the word retarded because everybody knows what that means when you say it. Uh, in fact, I'd argue more people know the colloquial meaning of it by far than people actually knowing what it really means. I bet you find some 15 and 16-year-olds out there that don't understand what the medical definition of this word means. They'd be
Well,
like,
I'd say
you're just dumb. You're retarded. You stupid. That's what it means. That's what they'd say.
I don't know about that one specifically. I don't really talk to kids very much, so I haven't been in fucking school since I was since like probably 10 years ago.
Sure.
But they back when I was in school, they definitely knew what it meant, and I don't know the way people used it back then was a lot more seemed a lot more targeted than
Yeah,
now. But like
I
if
agree.
you yeah, if you go back 10 years, like people were saying the N word on Call of Duty like every 3 seconds.
And to be fair, I used to say all kinds of slurs, like publicly around people and shit, because I lived in a really isolated area. I was in the thumb of Michigan, and I genuinely, for a really long time, didn't ever see anybody like actually being racist. I didn't get it. I just thought like we're done with that. Like literally the meme where people are like, "Well, nobody around me's being like, yeah, that's how that works. If you don't see a problem, you don't think there's a problem." I actually would like my internal experiences like of being happy that like how far we've come because like I know like the history of how much things have improved. I certainly knew that some people were still like impoverished, but I didn't think that people like went out and like attacked people based on the color of their skin at all. And I kind of had like a weird moment where I realized that actually in this area, so many people are fucking racist is unreal. It's just that there's not a lot of minorities around here because of that. And it had a really, really sobering effect on me.
Yeah, I'd say I had the had pretty much the same experience when I was young because like until like late 2015, I would say like I would joke around with like I had a couple of I had a Puerto Rican friend and an Indian friend, and those were like the two minorities in the town.
Sure.
And so I would joke around with them about racist shit because I thought what we were joking about was racism. I thought the idea of racism was funny. And then it wasn't until like late 2015 when Trump started rolling around and he's like most of the people they're sending over are fucking rapists and drug dealers, and then seeing the people around me supporting that, it's like, oh, you guys are actually racist.
Uh, yeah. Um, I think that there's a bit of an insulation being one being white and then also being in an area that doesn't have a lot of minorities. That's just how it's going to feel for you a lot. And like all of my friends, like I went to school, there was like four black kids in my whole school, and one of them I was really good friends with, and still to this day he loves racist jokes. He thinks they're really, really funny. And so when I one time I played basketball with him, and my ex-wife was there, and I had a half black stepson, and so I was just making jokes with my buddy, and she screamed. My ex-wife screamed at me, and my friend laughed so hard he dropped the ball. We were playing basketball. He was like, "You have the best racist jokes I saw." I was like, "How are you mad at me if he's laughing? Like, obviously he knows that I'm not trying to hurt him. Like he's not hurt." Uh, and even my stepson too. And this is speaking to the broader point of like people know what we mean when we say stuff. Um, him and his friends stayed the night, and he was 16. I was 22, and he was 16. It was very weird. Like we could have went to the same school together. His friend woke him up, or he woke his friend up. He's like, "We gotta go to the room. They're going to bed." And because our bedroom was the living room, because I was like, "Why not? It's a small apartment. I want the big room." And his friend called him the N word, and I just froze. I'm like, "Oh my god." It's like I studied for a test that I didn't even know I was in the class for. And I was like, well, what do I do? Like, if I get like aggressive with this kid, like one, this kid is the quarterback for the football team. I'm in good shape, but like, I don't know, like if he starts swinging, like anything could happen. There's also three other of them. I might embarrass him. I don't know what to do. And then thankfully, my stepson laughed. And I found out later that he thinks that a white person saying the N word is the funniest thing in the world, like unironically. Uh, and so I was like, whew, dodged a bullet there. Um, I think that uh, when somebody inserts themselves in the behavior of somebody else uh, in order to find a problem with something that they're doing that's only affecting them because they've inserted themselves in it, this person is the problem, not the people that are doing the thing that they're doing. Uh,
I, I I would kind of agree with that, although I think specifically with the word retard, I think it really, like when people use it, I think it's clawing back to a lot of like really bad attitudes towards like people with mental disabilities, and I think it often gets used against people who are like who you can't like tell like right off the bat have mental disabilities. I think it gets used against those people a lot, and I've seen. I think the usage of it kind of socially inclines people towards thinking of mentally disabled people as lesser than.
really?
Yeah, because I've had I knew this autistic kid, and he was really for saying the word retard, and the reason for that was because he had complained to his mother once when he was a kid about people calling him that word, and what she said to him was, "Well, were you being retarded?" And so I thought I when I heard that I was just like, I don't know. The idea of that was just like disgusting to me, and it seems like that was just pervasive in the culture he was around because he found social acceptance through like allowing people to attack him that way and not fight back against it. Is what is That's how I felt that was occurring.
It sounds like me. He took something that could have been a weakness and turned it into a strength. We had a friend. well, he's still my friend, but like I lived in the same area. My roommate and I, and my wife, we lived in the thumb of Michigan, and we had a friend who was autistic. And after I make this point, I'll tell you a story about why we know that. Um, and one of the funniest things he ever did was what did he say? He did something, and my friends were playing Call of Duty, and somebody said, Zach, what are you doing? Are you fucking stupid? And he said, my mom said I'm not stupid, I'm retarded. And his mom didn't say that to him, but like it was just like maybe a month after like everybody found out, and they've known him for like 8+ years. It was one of like the best bombshell jokes he ever dropped on everybody. And he's known for being a funny guy, so he got to like use that as a way to uh, get a lot of like credit and be like really really funny. Where I think if he didn't use such edgy humor there, he wouldn't have had that. And that's a big part of the reason why it bothers me when people try to take words away, is because when we talk about being accurate and describing something, there is a there's like the academic side of this, and then there's the like the poetic side of this. I would say that when we limit the use of our words to be so stringent and rigid and like fit perfectly into like definitional boxes, we lose this fluidity. We lose like the soul of the language. The language becomes something that's like um it's like we become like robots in the way that we talk then, and that makes me sad.
But I would say in that specific scenario you described, I would be far more accepting of that than the scenario I described, because since his mother didn't actually tell him that.
Did he not know?
The guy you're talking about?
No, the guy that you're talking about, did he not even know that he was autistic? Did his mom just didn't neglect to tell him and then said that to him?
No, no, he knew.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that somebody's I think actually everybody agreed on the panel that nobody should be saying it to a kid. Because you shouldn't insult children, especially not based on something that like is really out of their control. Like how smart a kid is going to heavily depend on uh the work that other people put into them. I don't care. Even if you have learning disabilities, then I would say that like, it's an even more steep curve of how much work other people have to put into it. It has to be like home and school and people working together really well. Uh, the more severe whatever condition you have that makes it hard to learn, you need a lot of help. So it's not even a reflection of them; it's a reflection of how much people care about you, basically.
I would agree with that. I think one of the key issues is that, like, I think since the word, I think it imparts kind of a cultural semblance of like not thinking people are worth as much. I think that's probably one of the bad things, because in current society, the way we treat people with learning disabilities, especially in like school, like at least in when I was in school, like I hung out with the with kind of the quote unquote bad kids, and like 90% of the quote unquote bad kids had learning disabilities.
Sure.
So yeah, like all the adults in school, their parents, they treated them as lesser than. They didn't want them in their class. They didn't want to be around them. They wanted to put them in detention. They wanted to keep them away from everybody else because they were annoying everybody else, shit like that. And so it kind of seems like they put him on a fast track to going fucking nowhere.
Sure. Um, and you think that because we have the language for that, that's going to increase that happening?
I don't think necessarily the word retard, but I think the categorical demeaning of intelligence. I think that increases socially. That the likelihood of that occurring.
Hmm. It may be the case. Um, and on that point, I think I would have to defer to what Tuna had to say about it. I don't think this is something that we can stop. People are always dodging it, right? When people said you can't say retarded, we went to smooth brained, and then I think it was much worse. I made the argument that the main replacement for it is actually just calling people autistic as an insult, which I don't think that you should do. We're taking the word that we actually use today to describe the condition, well, an umbrella term for a wide variety of conditions that somebody can have, uh, and using that as an insult. If you had to, this isn't my main point, but if you had to pick one or the other, you'd pick retarded, right? I'm assuming.
As a general insult.
Yeah,
Yeah, probably.
because say nobody gets diagnosed as being mentally retarded anymore. That's not something that we do. We've changed the words. But we used to, and I would say that that's probably like that's when the word had its like peak hatefulness is when people still got diagnosed being with the word. But now that people are being diagnosed with autism, people are all of a sudden saying autistic, and for some reason, they get less shit for it.
Well, I think it's probably because autistic. I think the way it's used in common parlance implies a greater level of intelligence than retarded.
Hmm. I guess I've always thought that the reason why we are very accepting of it is because this is sort of like the sterilized version of the word retarded because we moved from retarded over to autistic when we talk about like the medical diagnosis, so people see this as like the better word. We've shifted from this to that, so they're like, okay, this is the safe one, so I'm going to say that. But this one has significantly greater chance to cause harm. So I'd say if we revert back to like the old word where it just doesn't have this connotation anymore, if we tell people that you can say retarded and we're not going to come after you for it, I think people are going to be way less inclined to use the word that's less fun to say anyway. They're saying autistic because they want to say retarded and they don't want to get yelled at. And then
Hmm.
people who have autism don't have to hear other people getting called autistic when they're not as an insult.
I'd say one thing I could say about that is that I think when we're talking about the word retarded and how it was used, it would have been used to describe autistic people. So I think categorically it lumps them into it as well. I think autistic is like a lesser form of retarded because like if we're talking about like the late 2000s, early 2010s, I think in the common like zeitgeist, people's depiction of an autistic person in their brain was like from movies with autistic savants where they were like real super
Rain Man,
geniuses in one thing, yeah, like that. Or like did you ever see Cube?
Cube, yeah, yeah, and Hypercube, really good horror movies.
Yeah, so essentially like I think that was like the common like if you thought autistic, you thought, oh, they're really good at one thing and they really suck at talking to people. I think that was like the general gist of what people thought autistic was.
Yeah, yeah, and uh, to that point, I still do not fully understand what the word means because it can mean sometimes you have a hard time speaking when there's a lot happening around you, and that's pretty much the only thing that you have outwardly showing, or it could mean that like you literally can't tie your shoes on your own. There's such a broad range of things, and it covers so many people's difficulties. I have no if somebody I've had people tell me that they're autistic and I'm like, I literally know nothing about your struggle, knowing that, other than other than you have a struggle, uh, and that it's going to affect like that the effect is coming from your mind. That's all I really know about it.
Yeah, I would agree. I really don't like, and I'm not like a doctor or anything, so frankly, I probably shouldn't even have this opinion. But like, I don't like autism spectrum disorder because like the spectrum can be like somebody who is like 20 and they have the mental capacity of a 4 year old, and every time they see a bright light, they start screaming and crying. Or somebody who's just like, oh, I can't really tell what your emotions are when I look at your face.
Yeah, I have a hard time with sarcasm, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's a cluster of symptoms that stem from one neurological variation. So all of these symptoms come from the same neurological variation. That would be really interesting. But I guess it's not very informative. But I agree that you said it was like this, but I don't think it's like this anymore with the word retarded. I think that we've become so far detached from it because this was like it was like mainstream in like the 80s. Uh and it's 2020 now. We are like heavily divorced from those definitions. And I genuinely think if we took down the barrier and said, okay, you can say retarded anymore, we're gonna remove autistic from the insult like vernacular, or at the very least decrease it by a tremendous amount. And now you'll have a period of time where people go crazy with it. If society's like we're cool with it, people are gonna do the bad kid testing their limits thing. But then it'll go back to normal, and I think that we'll see a lot less other things decrease, like smooth brain, which is I don't know. Does that one bother you?
Like I said, I think categorically attacking intelligence, I am
Sure,
not a fan of.
sure. Sorry. I should say, does it bother you in the same way?
I wouldn't say like none of this stuff really viscerally bothers me. It just bothers me more on a like an intellectual level.
Uh, sure. Do you agree that people are not going to uh, stop criticizing people based on their intellectual wherewithal, and that like we probably have to concede that like some kind of insult is going to be used here?
If we're talking about like in the current time frame, like every living person now until they die, then sure. But I think in a future world we could get to the point where people stop insulting people's intelligence.
Um, Yeah, but I think that that's going to be based on the fact that our intelligence isn't going to be the main thing that provides us utility. When AI gets to the point to where most tasks in our life become autonomously done via simple command, that's probably when we stop giving a shit about people's intelligence.
I think we'd probably fuck something up before that happened.
Well, so if we don't have to rely on other people behaving intellectually coherent, then we don't care about it as much. We're not going to feel the frustration and need to insult somebody to like vent that out through an insult. That's I think that can happen if it ever does. But since we are in this world, and people aren't going to use insults that they don't understand, like saying, "Do you have neurological syphilis?" Uh, what would you if so like people have to have this word. And it's like Tuna had said, uh it's like the AI trying to seek out the dog whistles for things so they don't get like caught. The other side is always going to be improving even faster and better. And like we like said, there's like a slew of things that can be used for it. um do you think, because I think it would be better to just keep the one word and discourage further creation of additional words to put people down this way, especially since the other words seem to lack the thing that I think is positive about it. When you say retarded, like that little spark of joy, that like exceptional utility that it has, it seems like all the replacements are like lackluster in comparison and
Uh,
potentially more harmful.
I'd say I just like generally I just don't like the categorical use of it because I really can't think of any good examples of how I would provide that same level of oomph with like a very targeted, like paragraph driven fucking takedown of something you say because you haven't really done anything or said anything that really deserves that level of oomph. But I don't know. I just very much enjoy doing that, and I like seeing people do that. Whereas, like when people say that word against other people, it just doesn't give me the same It's just like when I hear you say that against somebody, I'm like, you could have done something better.
Uh, I think telling people they could have said something better is kind of demeaning them based on their intelligence a little bit.
I wouldn't necessarily agree with that because the operative word there is could. If I'm saying they could have done better, that means that they have the capacity to do so. They just didn't put in the work to do so.
Okay, I guess you're calling them so basically you're signaling the what I presented my definition of stupid to be.
I would say yes.
Okay. I would sum up your argument as saying that using the word retarded is stupid because you know that you could be more creative and you're choosing not to be.
Using your terms and their definitions, I would agree with that summation.
And I argue that I think that it's very short sighted to think that this word is lazy because I think that it is. There's not a lot of words that have this kind of utility. What did you call the way people use the N word? It's a what?
Discourse marker.
It's a discourse marker. I think it has a similar function because it can be put into so many different things in so many different ways. I've seen it used really creatively. Like you said, like that salad was so good. It's retarded good. Uh, this is that's creative to come up with it in that way, and it worked. That shouldn't work. If you look at the word and you look at that sentence and you need an adjective there, that shouldn't make any sense, but instantly everybody knows that this is enhancing the goodness of the salad. um like if you said like you couldn't just throw any old word in there, like that salad was so good it was sticky. Now it just sounds like the salad was good and sticky. You know what I mean? Other adjectives can't quite do what this word does. And these are the kinds of words that I really really love. Like I love saying the word fuck because it perhaps has the most utility of any word in the entire world. It is insane how many different ways that you can use it. Uh, and while some people might get offended by it, we can make the argument that there's a lot of people, particularly people that are up there in age, really hate this word. They think it's an ugly word. Some people say you shouldn't say it in front of women. Some people say you shouldn't say it in front of like your grandparents because they find this word offensive. But we protect this word, and I think part of it is because it has such a great utility, like very few other words have. And like I said, I'm a fan of words. So if somebody says like you don't get to have this word, I feel like there has to be a really strong reason, and that reason has to be greater than the utility that this word provides. I don't think that when you have the kind of position that you have, I think it's going to be really easy to overlook what's lost when you take it away.
Mm, I've never really felt like I've missed anything from not attacking like intellectual capacity. I actually feel like I've gained in my use of like words and phrases that actually really attack somebody deep to their core.
Well, the salad example wasn't attacking anybody. It was making the salad even better.
I, I'll give you an example
Uh-huh.
of uh, of a sentence I like with that word in it.
Okay.
Uh, that ass was retarded.
Yes.
I like that sentence.
And it's the adjective here is designed to express just how amazing it was. Like it was so amazing that it made your brain not be able to function to the point to where you were essentially mentally impaired while observing that ass. Right? This is what we if we want to break this down. If we really want to examine this and get verbose with it, this is what we're saying. Uh,
Hold on.
this ass lowered my intelligence and my ability to cognitively function. Oh my god. Uh, no, I cannot work with Tiffany. Her ass is retarded. If you want me to get nothing done, put her on the shift with me, okay? Even if it's in my peripheral, I'm fucked up. Uh, you are hurting the productivity of this company, allowing that ass to be on the same shift with me. It's not right.
That was really fucking funny.
Thanks.
My throat hurts now. I don't have any response. That was beautiful.
See what we would have missed out on had you not chosen to use that word in the sentence in the way that you really enjoy. There is
Yeah,
there is something beautiful in words that have this kind of utility.
I would say there's probably not. I would say there's probably not harm in that sentence, but I think like the difference here is that like that's not. I don't think it's really attacking intelligence.
Right. I don't think so either. So we should hate the sin, not the retarded.
I don't really understand that, but at surface level, I agree with it.
Because the word has fucking utility beyond the means where it would normally make sense. That's why that made sense to you. You're like, I know what you mean, but at the same time, like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. That's the beauty of it. It has power. This is one of those few words that has, like, real power where you can say something that on the surface is silly and nonsense, but, like, I get it.
I'd say like if that was like the general usage of the word that I was seeing in like different spaces,
Hmm.
I probably wouldn't have such a negative opinion towards it. But like the majority of the ways in which it's used is just seems like it's using it as an attack against people's intelligence, and it seems like it's deriding people for having that lower intelligence.
Then my challenge to you would be to stop abdicating against the use of the word and start explaining to people just how much potential the word that they're using casually to demean people, and get them to understand that they can use this in so many more creative and silly, wonderful ways.
Hey, if I said that to any of the people I'm talking about, they'd probably just say that sounds really fucking retarded.
Um, or especially if you've told them that you didn't like it before, or they might go, I didn't know you were that cool. Please tell me how to use retarded even better than I've been using it. Because everybody likes to say, like, people that say it, they say it because they like to say it. If you can teach them how to be clever with it, I think that uh, they would enjoy that. They'd probably try to find clever ways to fit it in, and then we would get even more little snippets of like that ass is retarded. We'd get things like that. Um, I think that like the exchange that we had was like the best example. And I guess the other part of it too is that usually when this is being used as an insult, which is the most common way that I use it, is jokingly. I think that powerful words combined with comedy perfectly, and I don't know how to take a word off the table like that without hurting our ability to make like banger ass jokes, or at least like silly like strings like the bit that I said after you gave me your preferred use of it, or even just the fact that you really enjoy the phrase that ass is retarded. um uh that shows that it has like a special use there. um I agree that we should push to not have people use it in a destructive way, and we should push to have people use it in more positive ways. If you're going to use it with the negative connotation, it should be with your friends where they know you're not actually trying to hurt them. If you're going to use it publicly, you should use it as a way to impress people.
The first part of what you said, I would say I can pretty much agree to. The latter part, uh, I I kind of agree with maybe, but I don't know. It seems kind of abstract what you're saying.
It does. And part of it has to be because this word has abstract properties that we can't quite pin down. Like I said, you can throw it into things that should by no rights make any sense. It's a word that has like high experimental usage potential. Uh, and it's probably one of the best examples I can think of off the top of my head, just how cool the English language really is. For all the things that people bitch about with our silent letters and all that, the English language has a really cool way of taking nutty things and then it just works. Um, and this word in particular. And I think that I like the fact that it used to be something that's like that holds like a lot of weight. Where like I if it was like in the early '90s, I probably wouldn't feel comfortable saying it. But we're so far divorced from it, like that usage, to where it's positive again. What was the we've had other words like that, and I think like for instance, I've seen the F slur sort of like make its way back into modern society without it being like super negative anymore because I suspect it's because we've had like this humongous rights movement for gay people, and if you are being homophobic, uh like genuinely homophobic, like people are gonna have like a pretty strong reaction to it. It's like homophobic people are in the minority now. The majority of people are pretty chill, whether it's by getting shown that like you're not it's not going to be tolerated or what. It does seem like the majority is on the side with gay rights and the right to their expression, all that, which is why I think I've seen the F slur being used more without people getting upset. Have you noticed this?
Uh, I have noticed that somewhat, although I would kind of disagree with saying that the majority are like against homophobia. It really depends on where you're at. I think if we're talking just straight up majority,
Yeah,
since most people are in cities, you're likely going to have a lot less homophobia. But like I live in Indiana in like a 85% Republican place, 99% white. The kind of homophobia I hear
it's the
here,
thumb of Michigan. What you're
uh,
describing is the thumb of Michigan. I know what it's like.
yeah,
You see grown men going out to eat with their fathers and they call them daddy.
yeah. You remember the Pulse nightclub shooting?
Uh, is that the one that was in Florida?
I forget exactly where it
That was
was,
the
but
gay club, right?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. The day after that happened, I went into work at a warehouse, and one of the guys, I overheard him joking to another person. Uh, and apparently, this is a joke. I thought it was more of a statement. He said, "I just wish he had more ammo." And
Oh
like
God.
everybody fucking laughed. And it's like, holy shit. So like I can understand like the overwhelming sentiment since most people
Yeah.
are are living in those kinds of areas, but yeah, you know, in my area,
Uh,
homophobia is pretty rampant.
I know the I tell people a lot like if you're in a small rural part of like the Midwest, all the towns are the same. Like I've lived where you live. I know this. I know how this goes. Like I wasn't the first girl I wanted to date in the area wasn't allowed to date me because her father was convinced I was Middle Eastern, and that wasn't allowed. Um, and like I've been inside my house for like 3 years basically. I get very dark if I'm exposed to like any sunlight. And then like the beard doesn't help. Uh, I've seen people throw away applications because simply because the person who turned it in was black. It's happened in front of me. And I was like, "Why'd you do that?" And she was like, "Oh, I can't hire him. He's black." I was like, "Oh, you can't say that." And she's like, "Well, it's not me. It's the customers." I'm like, "You can't say that." Like, you're actually making me an accessory to a crime right now by saying this to me. Jesus Christ. The best thing I could do was I seen that guy at a party and I told him what had happened. Unfortunately, he was mad at me, like I did something, but I understand just being super fucking pissed. I know the areas. But I think the thing that I'm speaking to is that there was a lot of people who would say things like, well, I don't care what anybody does behind closed doors, but I just don't think it's right to do it out in public. I think that shit, those people are just like totally fine with open gayness now. I think those people have been massively moved over to the side of getting rid of their, at the very least, outward homophobia. They might still have some internalized shit, but I don't think people like you and I are talking about are ever going to be moved by anything ever. It's like in their blood.
I don't know the whole like LGBT grooming shit. That's become like a very big fucking like moral panic among like right wing people. It's probably not that big in comparison, but like the Trumpist base, like probably like 23% of people.
Yeah.
I think there is like a very thick and very virile fucking homophobia that exists within the nation to a degree where like it infects parts of the culture.
Um, I think so too, but I think that without the backing of many other like-minded people, they don't feel comfortable saying that shit. Like if they're in somewhere new, they're not going to feel comfortable saying that, whereas 15, 20 years ago, they could say that wherever they wanted without any fear whatsoever of anybody jumping down their throat. Would you agree?
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I mean when I say like the majority of people, it's no longer safe to just like randomly be homophobic out in the open. You got to know who you're around. You got to have like you got to have some backing. You got to have some people that agree with you that are going to back you up if you're in an unfamiliar place. Whereas that just wasn't the case before. I also think that in real life, when you go around, uh nobody gets upset. Nobody has like that same kind of response if you say retarded. I think that we mostly understand that that's what this word means now. Like the word literally, unfortunately, has been robbed and has become the opposite of what it's supposed to mean. Literally the opposite. I just think that the word has another definition that is more commonly used than any other definition, and we get it. And the people that get like ass mad about it are people that there's going to be a really small subsection of people that are ass mad about it for because they just are sensitive to it because they think of a person, and I don't think they're really running through this logically when they get upset about it. So it's just an emotional response. But I think a lot of times when people want to get in this debate and say you shouldn't say it, they're saying it because they're a shit stirrer. They're just using it as another thing to like. Uh, it's just another hill to fight a battle on. I think that most people aren't having getting hurt by it.
Well, this actually kind of reminds me of something. It seemed like you and what was that other fella's name? Benny.
Benny,
Yeah, it seemed like you and Benny had the notion that nobody's going around calling people with mental disabilities retarded.
um, so I think to clarify that position, it would be that nobody is going to. Okay, there's two things I have to clarify. Whenever I say everybody or nobody, whenever I say something that's all encompassing or encompassing none, I'm saying that the extreme is so great that like it's not like a wild stretch to just to like we could just jump to that to capture the picture that it's basically everybody. It's effectively enough people to where the minority is just like the minority in this situation is something that like you wouldn't include if you're like looking at statistics. We just call this an outlier and get rid of it. That's what I
But
mean. But and when we say that nobody does this using it like that, what I mean at least is that nobody does that and isn't going to be like called out for it. Like we're handling that. We handle that swiftly and appropriately in most cases. And if it's not, then like this would be like what I would consider to be quite a niche case.
Yeah, I understand the particular use of the phrase "nobody"
Yeah.
in that particular sense, but the issue I would have taken because Flora and the what was the other person's name?
Fauna Flora. Uh,
Yeah,
I think
Flora,
it's
and then
Queen
the
Alexa.
yeah, Queen Alexa. I can't believe I forgot her name. But Flora and Queen Alexa, they were kind of talking a lot during that particular part. But the thing I would have taken up issue with is that, for example, like a black person, I have never seen another person call a black person the N word to their face. But I'm sure that pretty much every black person has been called the N word to their face. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
So I would say the same thing with anybody with a mental disability. They have most certainly had the R word used against them in that way.
Uh, sure, I don't disagree, but there's a reason why you haven't seen it. And it's because they know that almost everybody is going to put them in their place if they do it. Because they know that it's wrong. They know that they shouldn't be doing it, and if they do, they might face repercussions for doing so. And I think that even in a society where we allow it to be used as like a joking thing, or like all the ways that I've said I like to use it, um, this does not therefore allow people to do that and get away with it. Because that's the world that we live in. People do use it jokingly, and people do hold people heavily accountable when they behave that way. Because we generally agree, to a pretty high degree, that this is completely unacceptable. You do not do that. In fact, it's to the it's even the word doesn't even matter here. It's that you don't attack people who would be targeted by that word in the most harmful way. Period. If there's somebody where that word would apply to acting as a slur, you don't treat them poorly. You do not talk down to them. You don't make them feel bad. We protect them with a really high degree of compassion, uh, generally speaking. And the people that mistreat them are considered to be some of the worst people. We find out that caregivers of mentally disabled people, even physically disabled people, people that can't that lack a certain amount of agency because of misfortune, the people that are put in a position to take care of them and mistreat them, they're like up there with like pedos and stuff for people that we really don't like. They are among the worst people in our society.
I would agree that we vilify the people who do that kind of stuff, but I would disagree that we protect the people that have it done to them. Because, for example, I remember looking this up. I don't know if I brought it up on the panel, but I saw that I think 4 times the amount of mentally disabled people had been abused as compared to the average population.
That's because people who can abuse their power over somebody uh, typically do. I think that children are going to be more often abused than adults are by adults. Anytime you have a situation where somebody's going to have power over another person, this is a breeding ground for abuse. And the kind of power differential there is massive because uh, just like children, they lack certain degrees of agency and ability to have like outreach to people that aren't their caregivers. So like when a kid's being abused by their parents, there's very little they can do because that they're in total control of their lives. So if you have a caregiver who's there to make sure that like you're eating and then make sure that like or like if you have a physical impairment that actually moves you around, who the fuck are you gonna get a hold of? Uh, I think that that's the issue. There is that these people are like it's not happening in public. It's not happening where people can hold them to account. These are things that are happening behind closed doors because they have the that is their power differential is that they're around them behind closed doors. These people aren't abusing them out in public. They're doing it where they can get away with. And whenever there's this kind of power imbalance, we'll always see that. I don't think it's unique to this condition. The condition is I have more power over you and I can get away with it.
Well, you brought up community outreach, and I think that's kind of the point I'm trying to get across is that I think the level of societal care that we give to people with mental disabilities that limit them in that way I think is a lot lesser than is actually needed or would actually show that we do actually care about these people. Because for a lot of people with mental disabilities at that level, they can be in the community, they can have jobs, they can have an active social life. And we just don't offer that level of support, which I think also increases the level of abuse that occurs because if somebody's being a parent to somebody who requires a higher level of care and they aren't being given like tools to help them do that care or tools to help kind of distribute that level of care to other members of the community, if they don't receive that, they are probably more likely to abuse that person and gain a level of resentment.
Uh, yeah, I think that has a lot to do with like funding. Give me 1 minute. One of my kids' friends' parents just asked me if their kid was here. I don't think so, but I gotta check real quick. Uh, Levi.
Oh Lord, I just turned on his stream and oh my face is so huge and my mustache is terrible right now.
Okay, I forgot. That's why I didn't hear my kid come. My kid's at a club, so their kid's definitely not here. It'd be really weird if their kid was here and mine wasn't.
God, I did not realize you had my face that big.
Uh, well, giving you giving you a larger part of the stage here. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently my mustache has looked awful this entire time.
Oh, was it doing the thing where it's like flipped up and stuff and like? Psht?
Where it's like, hey, where like one part of it's hanging over the upper lip.
I gotcha. I have to trim mine down. It's getting to be like that. I always got to keep it in. I have been having to keep it in check for like the last week. Hey, Fox. Um. So the issue that you just brought up, do you think this gets better when we get rid of the word?
The word specifically, no. It's mainly the categorical way that we demean intelligence.
uh sure. So do you think that do you think if we decided to really emphasize, so like I feel like we're at this point where this word has so much utility that this is like a smaller part of it. If we heavily enforced people using it in a strictly derogatory way and then let go of every other use of it, would you be cool with the word then?
In a derogatory way?
Yeah, in a non like camaraderie derogatory way. Yeah. Like if you were mad at your friend, you'd be like, "Stop it! Quit being retarded." Like that's not acceptable at all anymore. Um, if people only use this with like positive inflections or use it in the really creative ways like we discussed before, uh, would you be good with that then?
I suppose I would probably find that to be more acceptable, but like I think the issue is I don't really like to focus on that specific word, but rather the categorical thing. So like I don't think like limiting the use of one specific word and then still having like a whole nother category of the usage. I don't think that actually changes anything because people still have the underlying ideas connected to the use.
Right, which is what we were getting at when we say like people are just gonna find other ways to like subvert the critics and the censors by just changing what they're saying while meaning the same shitty thing that they're trying to express.
Yeah.
So then I guess the bridge that I would extend is that we should be focused on people being harmful and being hurtful and demeaning people in a way that like that actually demeans people, and not people that are bullshitting around with their friends. We should take this energy that we have for this word and put it towards that, and let people use the word that's fun and all that. And if anything, too, I think it adds legitimacy to the cause of stopping people from essentially harassing each other based on an immutable characteristic. Saying like, look, we don't even give a fuck about the word. You can use the word. Just stop being shitty to people who you think that you're superior than. Stop making people feel inferior because you're better at something than them. Because that's what it really comes down to, is that you're saying, I'm good enough at this and you're not. And now you should feel bad about it. Uh, we don't care about the word retarded. Use it. If you want to use that word, use it. But stop treating people like shit because they're lacking in an area that you happen to be good at. That's what I think that energy should actually be directed at.
Yeah, I would say that's a lot of the crux of what I've been trying to get at because I don't know, I usually don't talk about like when people use the word, I don't really stop them from using it. But like if somebody asks my opinion or asks me to be on a panel about it,
Sure.
then I'll give my opinion about it.
Um, do you think that using that argument, if we say like we don't care about the word retarded, we care about this action that you're doing here, do you think that adds an extra sense of legitimacy to and like power to your argument to fucking stop demeaning people?
Well, I'd say demeaning people based on that kind of
Yeah, yeah.
characteristic because I like demeaning people.
Yeah, but putting people down for essentially intelligence that you have that they don't. It's like the common sense argument, but like much more hurtful.
Yeah.
It's just something I know that you don't. So it's just something I can do that requires my cognitive faculties that you can't. That's when we're going to use this in a shitty way. So I think that when you say when you actually come out and say like I don't care if you use the word retarded, I don't care if you call your friends a retard, but if you're doing it in a way to make them feel bad about how smart they are, we have a fucking problem. I think that shows that you're a reasonable person, that you're not trying to control people's you're not trying to like overreach and control people in a negative way, saying like I care about what words you use. What you're saying is I care about you hurting people. That's all I care about. I think you're going to get more people over to your side because people that have hangups like me about this word that I really like using are going to be like, yeah, fuck yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like, why are you arguing against this guy? He doesn't even care if you say retarded. He just wants you to stop acting like a fuck all the time. I think that makes your argument much stronger and reaches more people.
Yeah, if you, I would say that yeah, if you detach like the underlying meaning and origin of the word from the word itself, I would agree that it would be fine to use that word. I just don't think we're in a current state where we can do that.
I think that's how you do it. I think that you have to tell people that they can use the word and stop doing the bad thing. Because like we've tried telling people to not use the word because sometimes it does the bad thing and they don't give a fuck because they don't want you to take the word away from them. So I think that the message it hasn't worked because our messaging is too well what the ask is too greedy. And that's why people aren't responding. I think that the compromise that we need to have is keep the word, stop acting like a fuck, and that's how we can get the thing that both of us really want to see happen, and I get to keep my word. And I'd be right there alongside you, arguing that exact same point, as long as people aren't trying to take my word away.
Yeah, I'd say I would agree with that. I just don't think people are really ready to accept like the underlying core reason why I don't necessarily use the word. I don't think they're necessarily ready to accept that core reason, even detached from saying you can say the word, but just you have to get rid of this underlying core thing because people really like that underlying core thing about it.
Um, yeah, and then in that case, we'd say like, that's fine if you're not going to change that behavior. I'm putting you on blast. We know that you're shitty. You're not gonna get to hide amongst the other people who are using this word in a way that isn't doing this anymore. I'm gonna say these people are fine, and it's just gonna be you. You're not gonna have 50,000 people with you. You're gonna have the 400 people, singled out here looking shitty, and the rest of the people that were in your crowd are also going to be like, yeah, quit making us look bad. You gotta divide and conquer this. You gotta say the people that aren't causing the problem, you're not a problem. Help us point out the problem in your group. And if you're like, and if people are like, you mean people aren't gonna fucking give me shit for saying retard when I'm obviously not doing anything bad? Yeah, fuck those people. They're ruining it for everybody. That's how you do it. You gotta get that group to sort itself out. So praise for the ones that are good, and condemnation for the ones that are bad. And I think that if you give the praise to the ones that are doing it right, they're going to be more than happy to report people in their group for doing it. That'll weed it out that way. This is the effective way of tearing down like little hateful sects inside of generally fine things.
Yeah, I can't find really all that much to disagree with you about on this particular topic here.
Based. I guess is there any other points that you want to impress upon then here?
Oh, no, I think I pretty much laid out most of my reasons and arguments for the way I use language.
Cool. Fox just said in my chat, I think people forget that the word idiot also comes from the ableist medical language, but over time it lost that connotation and the usage changed. Language is constantly flux. It's almost impossible to police effectively. But I think what you're tapping into there is that uh, not only it didn't just change because of the flux of language, it's because of language that it changed. It's because of the way that we do it, it changed. It didn't change. It's not like just the word just like suddenly flipped. It's because we decided this means something different now, and we just kept on using it until the bad meaning fell off. Because I think what probably happened there is that we condemned the people that were using it in a shitty way because people liked the word. Good people like to use the word in a way that wasn't ableist, and eventually that ableist part of it just sort of had to fall off. It's like snakes losing their legs. God, I hope you understood that. I just realized how weird of a fucking metaphor that was.
Yeah, it's going back to the Old Testament.
Uh, so I guess then it seems like to me, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that that we're a lot more aligned than when we started. Would you agree?
I would say I'm about 25% closer to what you're saying now.
Based. Uh, that's really cool because I want you to be able to see an ass that renders you incapable of speech, and when you can finally regain it, tell other people that it's retarded and not feel bad about it. And I want to if I see in like Discord that we're both in, somebody calling the Discord's favorite punching bag retarded when they say something that is very clearly not intelligent, to go, hey, don't do that. Uh, you can use a better word for what he's doing there. I just want to have it for all the good parts, all the parts that are fun for everybody. Because when I call my friend retarded, it's fun for him too, because he knows he gets to get me back when I'm acting in a similar manner to him, and it's gonna strengthen up a bond. Because in order to have that playful shit talk, it's gotta have a bite. It's gotta have some teeth to it. That way they go, oh, we need that attention grabbing. Yes. So cool. Uh, this was really cool. I'm glad that we had the conversation. Um, when I have my panels, I think I'm gonna shoot for every other week because I kind of like the format of having the panel and then whoever is has the best arguments against me have the 1v1 the following week and then not have one for that. But anytime that I have one, if you think the topic is interesting, feel free to shoot me a message. And assuming there's space on the side that you want, you can be on. I think that you do a really good job at articulating your points, and I like that you uh, even if you think you agree, you're still gonna fight until I make you like if anything that I got from you, I really had to fucking like really fight at you to like agree. Like you like yeah, that makes sense. I'm like, well then agree with me on this one point, and you're like you made me work for it. I think that's really really good. You're gonna make sure that I'm that I've thought of all the little things that you can pull out on me. You're calling me on all those things, and I have to make sure that I can answer to all these little things. You're not just going to let somebody have it because they defeated the main point. You can still then go through all the sub points that you haven't revealed yet, and I think that's a really good skill. Uh, this this was more pleasant and challenging than I expected, all around. And also, you laughed at one of my jokes, and now I just like you.
Yeah, I enjoyed talking with you too. I don't have that hyper specific of praise because my memory is complete shit.
Good
Uh,
praise me, buddy.
but I do have one last thing to say before I go. 25% of the reason that I have this opinion
Uh-huh.
and 25% of the reason I don't say any of these words like idiot, stupid, or moron
Mm.
is so that when I see somebody woke scolding at somebody else, I can attack them when they use those words and they will have to concede to me. I've done it before and I will do it again.
That's funny. So you don't it's not that you use it as like armor. You just hold on to it as like I don't do that. And you know you shouldn't do that. So you can't be like, well, you do too. That's a big reason.
Yeah, if you go through like I pretty much I'm in a bunch of servers, but the main one I do text chat in is Wix server. If you look up my name and any of those words, the only thing you will see is me calling out like these hyper woke people going after somebody else about something. Only you will see me going after them for using those words.
That's funny. Yeah, I think that the wokeness for the sake of wokeness is stupid. It should have utility. We need utility here. Um and I think for some people, it's just masturbatory, right? They just they just want to make themselves feel superior, which is kind of the problem that you have with the word. People because you can't make yourself. These people don't know how to make themselves feel good without putting other people down.
Well, I like to put people down. I want to be hyper clear on that. I'm a mean spirited, vicious person, just not in that particular way.
Uh, Fair enough. I guess I'll probably end this in a minute. I wanted to ask you, did you watch the debate last night?
The one with Mr. Girl.
Yeah.
No, I had it in one of my tabs, and I'm gonna watch it at some point. Just haven't done it yet.
Oh, it was a glorious shit show. Um, uh something happened that should have been avoided and it wasn't, and it just like just like the train didn't get derailed. It fucking flew off the tracks and just kept ascending into the sky to where everybody's like, why is there a train in the sky? You're like, because what just happened was that fucking retarded, okay?
Sounds like it's gonna
It
be a
broke the
good
laws of
watch.
physics. It was really really good. Unfortunately, I posed a great question and it went nowhere. I thought it was going to get them to have like a really good debate. I called in. I was like, "This isn't." Well, you can see what it is. Uh, I thought it was perfect. I had something for both of them to latch on to like make an argument against each other, and it just was like, nope, they didn't touch it. So I was like, a little bit disappointed there. Um, yeah. Thanks a bunch for having the conversation with me. Again, you're always welcome onto any of my panels, and now I'm gonna be looking out when you're in the Discord. I'm gonna see what you're going after people for. Do you mostly comment on things just to like call people out?
Well, most of what I do is like I just like to argue with people. There are some specific people that like anytime they post something, I will dissect that shit because I hate them to their core. Uh, but mostly I'll just argue with people, and in general chat, I shit post quite a lot.
Uh, sure. Oh, I guess I have one other question for you because I just sort of like appeared in Wix Discord like a few weeks ago, and I know that people have a really strong preconceived notion of me as just like all they know about me is that like I am like the Mr. Girl fan. Uh, uh, does that is that what you knew about me when I came in?
I think the first time I saw you, you were talking about something unrelated to Mr. Girl. So I never had any like
Oh,
preconceived
gotcha.
notions about you until like I think at one point I clicked your thing and it said Mr. Girl mod, and I was like, oh, okay.
I think that Smeth is what people expect me to be.
I don't think I've heard of Smeth and I've seen him like in the voice chat channel when they're streaming, but I don't think I've ever watched a stream with him in it.
Sure, and I don't mean that as an insult. I like Smeth. He's really weird, and I really like his weird. Um, but I think people expect me to be like blindly simping for Mr. Girl all the time, and I think some people still critique me as that, but like that, and like I have a like I'm impossible to talk to kind of person. So I was gonna see, because I haven't been into a lot of like new discords where I really hang out, so I didn't know if uh I had broken an expectation by being reasonable or not. But I guess since you didn't have that preconceived notion of me, I guess it's neither here nor there. So yeah. Are you in my Discord?
Yeah, because I had to join your Discord for the panel, right?
Okay, yeah. Feel free if you ever see anybody say anything stupid. Sorry, if you see anybody that says anything that offends your soul, feel free to tear them up. You can pretty much say whatever you want in my server. If it's not safe for work, it has to be in spicy. I think I just need more people to be. I need more angry people in my Discord. That I think that's all it is. That's why people like will talk for a little bit and then they just stop because nobody's pissing anybody off in there. All the Discords that are really active that I'm in have people pissing people off in it.
Yeah, somebody has to say something that showcases like a complete and utter lack of intellectual work for me to actually go in on them. It take there are a few people that do it every single time they post, but it's very rare that I really go in on a motherfucker.
Uh, that's fair. Well, all right. Myopic Times. I appreciate you a lot. And again, you're always welcome on any of my panels. Have a good day, buddy.
You too.
Thanks. Um, so I have to do the part two of the covering the Mr. Girl and Brianna Wu. Uh, where's my make this go away? Debate. I know I got some people being like really critical of me because I was offering explanations as to why people's extreme reactions to some of the things that Mr. Grill said may not be as extreme as they feel like they are. I can't help but respond to that. So I feel like when I stream that, I'm probably gonna do it. I'm gonna try to burn through that when my wife comes home and decides to take a bath. So I'll probably take that little bit of time for that. Um, if you see me doing that, thank you. Uh, yeah, if you see me doing that, feel free to come in there and tell me how bad you think Mr. Grill is being, and that way I can do the thing that I do and make people call me a simp by simply explaining that there's plenty of alternative explanations to the thing that they're saying. And I don't think I have to say it to Tuna, but I do agree that expression should be easy. But sometimes it's not. All right, I'm gonna get out of here for now. I'm gonna get my wife soon. Uh, take care.